So this is the second in the IoT series. It is slightly later than we wanted. We quite haven't been able to keep up with one a week, but sometimes you'll get them one a week, sometimes it will be more like once a month. These things happen. So yeah, I mean, there are now in this series that we're going to do, there's another 4 that we're doing today, and we'll slowly release them over the next few weeks, months. Why everybody needs multi-IMSI, and I suppose the answer is basically no one operator, whether they in theory deliver 98, 99% coverage, that is an ideal. That is outside, it's not indoor coverage. And in reality, different operators cover different areas, and even if they do break that barrier, they will still be judged by their customers with legacy ideas of where the coverage is and where the coverage isn't. And so, long story short, one single operator will never be able to achieve 100% of the base. However, you can in a scenario where a certain percentage of that base is put over to multi-IMSI. I'll give you an example. One of our customers in the US, let's use imaginary figures to keep it simple, but they have 100,000 vehicles, of which 90,000 of those are perfectly fine on the 2 different SIMs that they have generally. However, there is a 10% that really never works properly on single IMSI or in a multi-IMSI environment with 2 networks in the same country. And the reason for that is that in congested periods, what can happen is that the main road or transit or an area within a dense urban area can have coverage on one network and then another on another network. This happens in major cities as well, where one part of the city may be covered very well by one operator, another by another operator. And we even now have 3D issues where, above certain floors, coverage is different than below certain floors. So the long and short of it is that what you cannot afford as a logistics or trucking company is, for example, for 10,000 of your trucks in a depot at peak periods when they're coming back into the depot, losing connectivity on the main conduits or routes or roads coming in to that depot, and you're not knowing where they are because the one IMSI had lost connectivity and it hadn't had time to switch over to the other IMSI. So in short, single IMSI that works on many different networks, both in one country and the surrounding countries, is a huge advantage. It's not a huge takeover, it's not a substitute. There aren't those terrible words, cannibalization. It is a complementary product that allows your 5, 10, 15, 20% of problematic situations, whether it be people who move from one side of the city to the other, whether it be trucks in a depot. Now more and more with the gig economy, it's taxi drivers where, for example, one place where they wait, like the hospital, has a very strong network in one and very weak in the others. But the other place where they wait in the weekends, which may be the airport, is the other way around. Again, it's not a question of taking our SIMs and substituting the entire base of Uber contracts in a country. It's about taking of those 100,000 or the million or 10 million customers that use a single network or 2 networks to cover Uber, saying where do we have these problematic customers and how do we use a different product to address the issue of coverage. And to that extent, I'll just add an add-on to that. It's not just a national issue. There are then international issues. And so, for example, the generic IoT SIM, for example, will not roam in different countries abroad, or if it does, it's kind of made to, with the roam at home now, they're sort of, all the SIMs and all the networks are pre-programmed to try and put as much as possible into one big network for very, very, very important revenue and financial reasons. And it's very difficult to then adapt that network to allow a situation where your customer has roamed, a US customer has roamed south of the border to Mexico or north of the border to Canada, or in Europe we have this every day, especially in the small countries, but even Germany, France, despite the huge mountains that are between them, quite often that you will stray and go in to a network in another country. And then you can program your SIM to do many things, but what you do need is the connectivity. And that is something that we provide through Multi-IMSI.